G'day everyone, welcome to today's YouTube video. My name's James, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new. Today we're doing another 3 prompts from Daisy Ween 2022. These are 3 prompts leading on from the last 3 in that video that I uploaded where I'm wearing exactly the same thing. Plot twist, I've just been sat here, I'm just continuing on with the next video. So I feel like I've got all that information now. We can just actually do the live reaction that I'm really terrible at. This is an old Fiskars stencil. People ask me about that a lot. It was my mum got it when people used to have scrapbooking parties, and she bought a whole bunch of scrapbooking stuff thinking she'd be a scrapbooker. She did it a bit, but she didn't really do a lot of it. Most of that stuff became my stuff. If I didn't think it already was. Anyway, so I've adopted that. It actually had this, like, I think it was a rotary cutter kind of a thing, but it was like a little blade and you would push into it, and that was the stencil to make circle things to cut. So it's like an old school cutting system. Anyway, I just use it to do circles. Then I got this one from the Daiso, which is actually pretty flexible, and I just got that one because I needed lots of smaller circles. I will jump in and out of between being really messy and really loose, and then wanting to have perfect shapes and symmetry. It's just chaotic in my brain. But anyway, today, well, in this piece anyway, I felt like I wanted to have symmetry, which is difficult. I mean, if I wanted symmetry now, I would work on grid paper, but because I want to actually illustrate in this book, I kind of had to go old school and just trust that my eyes were seeing everything properly. So we'll see now in this video just how symmetrical it all is. Anyway, Princess Sasatwaxel is the costume that we're illustrating for in this prompt. And I felt a bit of a personal connection to this because I love princesses. When I was a little boy, I always wanted to dress up as a princess, and I did. And I felt like this costume had to be something that, like, younger me would find, like would want to wear. So you know what I mean? Like, I felt like that was my challenge to myself. And I don't typically set challenges for myself, but there are a few prompts in here that I'm allowing myself to give the personal connection to, that they kind of stir up in me. Like the 2 that are named after my niece and nephew, Savannah and Elijah, Jaiji Juju on a mini emu and Hootie Booty Bell. Those 2, like, I'm gonna give myself however long I need to make sure that I'm happy with those, just because there is a personal connection on it. Do you have to do that? No. But if you have the time and you have the patience and you have the desire and the will, then I guess, you know, give it a go. It's not wrong to challenge yourself within these challenges. A lot of the information I give out regarding challenges is like how to get through it, how to set yourself up for success, how to, you know, cheat through parts of it if you need to. And, you know, I really want to talk to that other part, because even though it is more common that we kind of find these challenges difficult and we struggle through them, there are also people that really do enjoy the challenge and aren't looking to, like, cheat their way through it or skip their way through it or do it quickly or just finish. Like, there are people who have the time and have the patience and have the will to do that. And so I feel like I should speak to those people as well, because this year I have found myself more in that category than the, oh no, I might not finish this, how am I going to get through it, what tricks do I need? I've done many challenges over the years, and it is more common that I find myself in that position, but I shouldn't always speak from that because my experience this year is different. So hopefully I can give you a more well-rounded view of now what it looks like to have time and focus and energy and attention placed on a challenge. And I think the first thing I am noticing is I haven't done one of these, like, Daisy challenges in so long. First of all, I think my illustration skills have grown a ton since the last time I did it. Even when I referenced the book, I referenced the old Daisy book for a pepper pencil on a flying pencil, and even then, looking back at that, I really love that illustration, but when I went to redo it, I felt like I was drawing something completely different. Like, I knew what it was in that book, and I remember drawing that style. Maybe it was just because it was in a pen, and this time I was using a pencil. I felt like I could erase more and control more. I don't know, I just felt like, you know, there's a lot more knowledge in my brain floating around now, and things that I noticed that I would change or do differently, you know, just based on everything I've learned from the years since I've done that challenge. And I wasn't disappointed with anything I really did in those challenges back then, but it is interesting to have another few years under my belt and to keep growing. Obviously, everyone grows forever, right? But it's interesting just to know the ways that I've been growing. Like, there's a very specific proportion of the face that I think I have completely changed for myself. I am now almost exclusively pushing all of the eyes, nose, and mouth together and having much bigger foreheads, and all of that eyes, nose, and mouth goes right down to the chin. It's just something I can't stop doing now. I love the look of it. When I look back in those older illustrations, I wasn't noticing much of that. They were a lot more spread out. They were still exaggerated. They weren't real face proportions, but they were more in line with a realistic face than these are now. These are completely stylized. So, not to say that real people don't look like this, but it's not common for facial features to be constructed the way that I'm preferring them these days. Who knows, maybe 3 years from now that'll all change again, and that's really the point, isn't it? I kind of let myself go with whatever I like the most, and that way I'm always happy in the moment. And now, being years on from, you know, stuff in the past, even though the look of it has changed and my preferences have changed, I'm not unhappy with what I did years ago. I just noticed the difference, and that's kind of funny. But yeah, I wanted to make this something that younger me would love to wear, and I mean, look at all those ribbons. I think success. As if me as a little boy would not want to wear that. I just love her. I love her big fro. I love her cute little stance. I really like the proportions on this one. The big old dress. That dress, I kind of was pulling inspiration from Virtual Voyage 7 when I did the Tiana, the Princess and the Frog. I did Eudora's designs that she did for Charlotte. I reimagined them as designs for Tiana, and that was where I got a lot of the dress kind of information from. And bows on bows on bows. And that headpiece, they kind of became like, it looked like almost metal. They're supposed to be buttons, but it did kind of look like there was metal plating under all of that, which I kind of ran with as well. More recently, I've been looking at some imagery from Batman Returns, and that Tim Burton kind of metal sheeting, you know, the start of Edward Scissorhands kind of a thing, that kind of pops up around Halloween time for me as well, because I love Tim Burton's work. So yeah, I found some interesting kind of aesthetic details in there that I think came from a place. They weren't intentional, so, you know, you can't really claim that I planned it, but yeah, it was nice to see either way, and I felt very good about Princess Sassatwaxel. This is her dad, King Rollerfaxel. I just made that up. I don't really know. I don't know how these characters really exist in Daisy's world. We've kind of established Daisy's a pretty crazy character, so, you know, whatever goes, goes. If you can make sense of it, then go ahead. Even if you can't, it still works. But this, again, I always draw Daisy as a female character. I don't think I've ever drawn her as a boy. I've drawn her with more masculine features before, and I think I've drawn her as animals before. Like, we've tried drawing Daisies a million different ways, but even this, I still wanted to draw her as a female character, and this one I kind of aged her a little bit, made her a bit more adult aged, and wanted to do her as, you know, just kind of the King Rollerfaxel. And I think this is the first one where I haven't drawn the full body. This was just a bust. So it just kind of cut off at the neck. Then I could do one of those really like nice long neck ladies. This one I did have a bit of a struggle with because I felt like it wasn't reading enough of like a king. And I also felt like, you know, when things, if Daisy is kind of like a weirder style, I feel like I can go crazier with the costume, right? I don't know why, in my head that's kind of the thing, but with something that's a little bit more realistic or a little bit more adult, I feel like it has to be within the realms of reality a little bit more. So that kind of shifts the way I see the costumes going. I originally thought I'd have short hair on her. I didn't really like that. So I added a little bob, which I liked much better. Gave it a lot more movement as well. And then I wanted to add in some kind of nod to Rollerfaxel, which to me, originally when I wrote that, I was thinking of roller skates, but because I didn't do a full body, I couldn't put her on roller skates. I could have tied roller skates in, but I thought that wouldn't even make sense. And then when I did Faxel, that was just the ending of the original word that I think I had ages ago. But it wasn't really anything. My mind then reinterpreted all of this to mean the rolls of paper that you would put into a fax machine. So technically her crown has rolled up pieces of paper that are like those little curls you have, I don't, you know, those powdered wigs with the curls, the Elizabethan curls. Those are rolled up pieces of paper that are supposed to emulate that. And the crown, I think, is just some big tube of like the tube that a roll of paper comes in, like a ream of paper. I really don't know, but it's supposed to be kind of fax machine-y. See, this is where the prompts really take on a life of their own. I redid her lips originally. Fun fact, the lips were really rounded, and I felt like, even though they're about the same size and shape here, the original ones, because they were so rounded, suddenly looked like they were really over full with filler, and I didn't like that look. I don't know. I mean, I've liked it when it was specifically supposed to be like that before. Like if I'm ever drawing Kylie Jenner for some reason, I'll totally do that. But yeah, it was really getting to me, and I don't usually, I mean, I do, but I don't know. Even then I was thinking like, am I being way too picky about this? Like, why would I just erase these lips? They're not bad, but I just didn't like the way that they looked kind of overly plumped. So then I decided to, yeah, I just decided to reshape them, and I like them much better. And it was interesting just like what a few sharper lines would do to that lip. So take a look at that close up. You can see I've done that crisscross lace detail there again. I usually just put that in, like I said, where I just want some more detail and it's kind of open. And I had that seam down the crown, so I thought I'd put that in there. And some curls. Actually, I think my favorite part are the little wispy curls that happen around the hairline. And I love the top two teeth in illustrations. If I ever draw teeth, I would never draw a smile. I really never draw open mouth smiles with teeth, unless it's very cartoony. Like I would never try to draw teeth properly. They're actually really hard to do and make look good. So I just decide not to, much like hands. But yeah, those teeth, if I ever do, it's just the top two front teeth. And that comes from like modeling. I can't do it. I'm gonna look like an idiot if I do it. Hang on. See that? So you just see the top two teeth. It's not that. But yeah, and we call it Thursday because Patsy Stone does it in Ab Fab and she goes Thursday, and it's really just supposed to be your top two teeth. It's really when those like gorgeous models in Vogue just so happen to put their heads up like this and their mouths are slightly parted and you see their top two teeth. Anyway, that's where that all comes from. I only ever do those two teeth if I do, but when I do it, I really like it. Sometimes I put a gap between them because I like that too. This is perhaps a Slothalop wearing a pumpkin top. I think this one was very leading. And I wanted to do something really, I was thinking like, first of all, we call my nephew, Lige Lulu has a million different names. His name's Elijah, but Lop is one of them. I don't know where that came from. I think it was like, to me, I think of a bunny rabbit with lopsided ears. And so I wanted it to have that feeling of like a plush toy that was kind of floppy. Anyway, so that is why it's a sloth, but it's like a slothalop, like a floppy slothalop. I don't know. You see how crazy that sounds? Oh, I hope these children like me reading this book to them and don't think I'm just a crazy person. Whatever. I mean, it's not going to change. They already think I'm pretty nuts. And this one, the illustration style, I kept everything a little bit detailed, kind of missing a lot of information too. Like there's not a lot going on, but what is going on, there's very fine line work, and I kind of loved this look. It looked very reserved for me. I've tried to do this before, like have less going on in the image, but what I think I was missing is I was doing really bold line work, so it looked like a really simple image. This with the really thin line work, and if you look really closely, I've kind of varied up the pressure in my pencil as well, so some of the lines are a little bit bold and then they kind of taper out a little bit. The shadows, like really small little shadows. This, I really liked this. And the Daisy actually reminds me of, I think her name's Abby from Turning Red. That's who I think she looks like. So I thought that was cute too. Steve and I love Turning Red and really specifically love the character Abby. So yeah, she turned up there. And I didn't actually have a reference for a sloth on this one. I think I remember them having those like three little claws and they have those downturned eyes. I was thinking of the sloth in Zootopia that works at the DMV. I think it's the DMV, whatever it is. Yeah, that's the joke, right? That they're so slow at the DMV. You know, fun fact, ever since I've moved to the States, I've only had incredible DMV experiences that were incredibly fast. Well, not incredible. I failed my license the first times, but I had good appointments. Like they went on time and they went quickly. So I've had nothing to complain about. But also we have those, I think it's like called a high volume center or something. There's specifically one around here that's supposed to be for like high volume turnaround of customers, and it's huge. It's really nice. Anyway, don't know why I'm talking about that now. But yeah, so this is the Slothalop, and wearing a pumpkin top. I just went for a really simple pumpkin again, those teeny tiny little triangle details, and I really, really like this one as well. Can you see that variation in line work? It just kind of has like a wonky, like thick to thin line look. You could achieve that with a brush pen, but I really like the look of it with a pencil. And just one of those costumes where, again, she's wearing the whole thing. Her arms, I imagine, are somewhere in those big sloth arms. And this is the flip of the 3 pages that we just did. There's Princess Sassatwaxel, King Rollerfaxel, and a Slotholop wearing a pumpkin top. I had a good time putting all these together. I cannot wait to see what you come up with these prompts. I will again endeavor to share as much as I can on Instagram and put them into my highlight stories as well. Until next time, thanks for watching. Bye.